Not bad, but I gotta be honest, I'm a little depressed with the handling of this season, now that I've seen this episode, and I don't think this video is gonna be as long as the other few have, right? So, there really isn't that much to talk about when Angkor gets back from Tribal. It's just Wu stating that he's confused, and Tasha stating what PG said we didn't see last episode, that Jeff is who she actually wanted to get rid of, right? And that was really pretty much it for Angkor until after the immunity challenge, minus them getting the spoils of the reward challenge, but you know, that's just typical stuff. We've all seen that before. But that is something that I would like to mention about that, because now that it seems like more people are noticing that apparently Angkor not only, had to start from scratch, but the location of their camp is a lot less, what's the term, habitable, hospitable than the other two locations, so this is kind of like Fiji, with the have and have not thing, especially since it's been revealed that Jeff didn't want it originally to be, complete all or nothing. He wanted the have camp to be up for grabs like every week, so, right. So, it's just making me feel a little bit bad about this and making me wondering, why he couldn't have, made it a tiny bit more fair? Huh? Right. And then as for the interactions that we're getting on the other tribes, well, because most of the members there are from the old Bion tribe, there really isn't that much to see, although, it is interesting that we're getting better stuff that we didn't get from last episode, because this episode had Jeremy doing what I was wondering why he wasn't doing this last episode, talking to people, trying to confirm that he's in everyone's good books, but the thing is, he's talking to Steven rather than Spencer, which is kind of confusing to me. I mean, like, sure, Fishback has been on his tribe from day one, obviously, but still, I really do think that Jeremy should at least try and talk with Spencer. These two could figure it out, because I really do think eventually these two are going to have some kind of conversation and need to figure out where they stand, because given these two people's personalities, they're either going to eventually team up or butt heads. It's going to have to happen. One of those two things needs to, so yeah, I'm just wondering why he isn't really talking to Spencer. Although Spencer is trying to do what he's been stating he wants to do this whole time, and just share more genuine moments with everybody, and then he even tried to give Monica a nice game pitch, but the problem is it happens kind of randomly, and Monica really doesn't believe it, but her reasoning is a little bit strange, because, yeah, she is trying to go for the girl power thing, but two problems. One, she doesn't do a good job of projecting confidence into that strategy, and two, at the start of this episode, there was 9 men versus 8 women. Oh, like there's a real gain up of men versus women happening this season. Now, I know that it is more likely for men to win this because of, the 13, 14, and 15 bits where 3 men win in a row, so it's 17 men versus 13 women, or 12 women if you want to be real picky, but come on, Monica. Yeah, but it was nice to see Monica actually start talking. Yeah? Although I thought it was a bummer that nothing happened with Kimmy, but I'll touch upon her later. Right. And then as for what was going on, and then Spencer trying to throw Kelly under the Wigglesworth under the bus. Well, it's what Kelly Wentworth is doing to Terry on the new Takeo tribe, so, goes to show, and I wonder when Kelly Wigglesworth is going to have her name written down, because that's the funny bit. She's, the only person in Borneo to never get her name written down, but that's because she won every immunity when they first started trying to vote her out, so that's going to be a real shock for her, because 15 years she hasn't had her name written down. Right. And then as for Takeo, well, the only real bits that they showed was the Kaz versus Kelly Wentworth thing, but it showed that Kaz was actually trying to turn over a nice side, and I do like that, because I didn't necessarily want Kaz to behave differently, but I did want her to be, a little bit more self-aware and understand that her doing things, can cause situations, even though I think based on her behavior in this episode and what we've been hearing about Tasha from Jeff goes to illustrate that, it really was her who saved Spencer back in Cagayan, even though she turned against him later. Right. But yeah, that was a touching moment from her. It goes to show, you can have issues with people or not exactly be the greatest social personality, and you can still do some things out there. I mean, for crying out loud, if was used last season of it as an example, if 8 of the 9 people that Dan bothered can forgive him or partially forgive him, then, Right, and if you're wondering who the person that didn't forgive him was, it's Jen. Right. So that was a good moment, although I'm real anxious to see what's going to happen to Terry on that try, because, he didn't really get that much to happen this episode, but I don't know. Something tells me that something's going to happen to this guy based on what's been happening in the last few episodes, along with possibly the bit that we got from next week, because Keith dropped that line, about 5 moving on. Well, the thing was, if you look at the shot that they showed of the shelter, the only people that weren't in the shelter on that 6-person tribe was himself and Terry, and since he's the one that's saying that, process of elimination. Yeah. So, barring the Kimmy bit, which I'm saving for later, and the Monica bit that I totally forgot, not that much to discuss other than the challenges. So the reward challenge, that's a nice challenge, and you gotta be wondering, well, how can it be? Well, I imagine there's 2 things that many of us forget. Not having as much food and sleep, because, I've had a tough time sleeping recently. It's been pretty hot this week where I am, even though it's the middle of October, oddly. So I've been feeling a little bit lately, and then also, I'm pretty sure the ground that they're running through is actually closer to wet sand. Well, obviously it's wet because it's underwater, but that would make it harder, to lift your feet. So that drags you down, even though I think they all are barefoot. So yeah, that definitely would have been a slog. Because you see how after the challenge was over, the Bion tribe goes up to Jeremy and goes, "Hey, it's fine, man." And they all pat him on the back, like, you did all you could. And the lead changed so many times that, it was just luck that he, lost, right? But yeah, it was a nice challenge, although I'm not the hugest fan of these hero challenges, simply because the whole purpose, of having tribes, put everybody out there, is so you have to deal with weaker members, and have to try and pull out a victory. So if it's 1 versus 1, even if you only do it once or twice, it kind of disrupts that system a little bit. But, it still was a nice challenge, and Savage, I was glad that he won, and Terry, I go, yeah, nice, man. Because, as I said, it was luck that really earned them the win, so not much more I can say there. And then that immunity challenge, well, that was a nice challenge, because I do love, seeing these people trip over everything, although, unfortunately, they just did it as a montage, unlike the last couple of times where they've, spaced them out and made it a little bit more humorous, but still, though, that was fairly amusing, how Jeff was just Terry described as the loner, and Keith, even though he's 10 feet from just going, why, I can't hear you! Yeah, seriously, why are you voting back in, people? Jeez. I mean, Woo, I know he had the fan base, but Keith? Really? Jeez. Right. And then, just, it looks like it's a close run-through, and then Ankle just loses all their energy, and the other tribes are able to win. And I'm seriously surprised, Abby wasn't crushed by that last puzzle piece, because she, was so tired, and Savage is just I did college football. I thought that was bad, but that was nothing compared to this. I seriously bet he didn't even have enough strength to do this with his arm, You could tell it was that bad. Yeah, I was actually kind of nervous for them, you know. I mean, like, I didn't think this was as bad as Waffle Swan. Yes, I've seen that clip, but yeah, I was nervous, and I was real surprised how later they were able to just, rebound from that bit. Yeah. So that Angkor goes back to the camp, and then after a little bit, it becomes obvious that it's either Jeff or Wu going, and Rob Sesternino states that, he was actually like, oh yeah, Wu's going to go. This episode edit is making me think that, but here's the thing, dude. Yes, usually, when it comes to these two people, they try to make it seem like at first one person is going, then they give you a bunch of hope for the other person, and then sometimes it goes one way, sometimes it goes the other way. But, like with Nina versus Will from last season, I felt that the outcome was extremely obvious, because here's the thing, Jeff had to lay, all of his cards out onto the table, stating that I'm not a threat to anybody, pointing at his injury, which removes a lot of what he can do, because he himself stated in his exit interview, I couldn't even make it up the hill to help the other guys, go fishing. And also, just, Wu, does make the valid argument, the merge is going to be a long time later. Jeff goes, you don't know that, Jeff. Since when is the merge going to happen at 16 or 14 people? At a minimum, there's going to be either 4 more immunities or 2 more immunities plus a double tribal, so, huh? Yeah, I was looking at it and I go, you're dragging this on. You're trying to keep it suspenseful, but I know it's Jeff, people. There's no point hiding it. And I ended up being right. He ended up going, even though that was a darn good back and forth tribal. One of the few times I've honestly said that. Even though I actually knew how it was going to go down. I wasn't spoiled, It was just, I thought it was super obvious that Jeff was going to go, and he did go. Although I do like the fact that he says that he has no hard feelings, and that his desire, as Survivor is satisfied, even though he didn't get as far as he did last time. Heck, he only got him half as far as he did last time, because last time he was eliminated on day 20 or 21. I think it was 21, because, yeah, back then they always did every free day, right? So, yeah, I'm glad he was able to hold it up high, and you gotta remember, he lost every immunity, so he had to, fight and do stuff from the get-go. So, then in his exit interview, he mentions that he was actually slightly working with Kimmy for, in the pregame, and then she was the one that told him, to anticipate Tasha and Andrew Savage. So, that shows, he was a little bit more aware to his bit, and that his rant from last time actually, had some reason to it, and that he wasn't just bitching about losing every immunity, so that was good to know, but it illustrates a certain point that Bion members are just not being highlighted. I mean, like, all we've gotten is Tasha and Savage, because obviously they're going to Tribal, and Jeremy we're getting hints of, but that's because he found the idol. So I wish we could get more of that, Because all this business about just seeing to KO members having issues and not highlighting people, it's starting to really depress me. Now, I realize they can't show everything, and that I was kind of complaining about this sort of thing last season, but the thing was, it's different reasons, but I can't really explain it to you that good, because last season it was more of showing shifts in personal relationships, but they didn't do a good job of that, especially in the last 7 or 8. This time it's keeping characters' histories sort of hidden here, so that we think that there's a little bit less to them than there actually is. Because, well, as PG revealed, there was a little bit more to Tasha. Jeff's revealed that there was somewhat more to Tasha, and there was more to his gameplay, and that Kimmy, she actually hasn't been completely invisible. Well, a little bit like that, yeah. I'm going to be real anxious to see what it is that she's going to do, because now she's the last person from Australian Outback left in here. And I get the feeling that she's not going to make the finale, so that trend of, Australian Outback players always lasting to the finale might end, but I'm not too picky about that. I mean, like, it's just a simple statistic. Nothing more than that. Although I would like to see her do better than last time and gain a tad bit more positives to her season. I've already mentioned that in a couple of the other videos. Oh, and did Jeff get a lot of people pissed off at him? Well, yes, but here's the thing. He got people pissed off at him for pretty much the same reason as last time, because of the mouthing off bit, even though his exit interviews do reveal that there was a little bit to his madness, and I honestly would be willing to wager that, had they still done the tribe shuffle at episode 3, but instead kept it at 2 tribes, there would have been a lot more pitch for him to stay. Now, I think he would have gone anyway, but it wouldn't have been unanimous. It would have been like, assuming that his tribe lost last week anyway, they would have had 8 members, so instead of 7-1, it might have been 5-3, that kind of thing, right? So I personally feel like he did do somewhat better, but we should wait a little bit longer just to see how the general community feels about this issue, right? So, anything else to talk about? Because I think I've kind of done everything. Well, the next week bit I described really the only big thing that was there. Yeah, so who's going to lose next week? I'm really hoping it's another tribe, just so we can see more people from there. Because I don't know if that's going to happen, because I don't feel like Anko's storyline is entirely complete, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like what happened in the 2 Blood of Water seasons, I'll tell you that much, right?